Good morning. It is Saturday, May the 27th, about 7:25 a.m. This is Shay Gibson with iKitesurf and Wind Alert, bringing you a wind and weather forecast for the Outer Banks area. This goes out to the Collegiate Kiteboarding Association, who are having their national championships from today until June the 3rd, and we will be talking about winds and weather for the area. Looks like things could get a little bit tricky as we go into tomorrow and the next few days, but today looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and take a look at the surface map. See what's going on. This is the WSI surface map. I like to use this one because it's an easy feature and it shows everything kind of plain and simple. We have high pressure down here to the south that's going to be easing out into the Atlantic just a little bit more today. That's going to keep the southerly flow going all the way up the coast from Georgia, South Carolina, and up into North Carolina. Right now we're seeing a little bit of a westerly zonal flow around that clockwise rotation this morning from land breezing, assisting that westerly turn. But as we go into the day, we see the sea breeze begin to straighten things out from the south-southwest along the Outer Banks, North Carolina. Now, one feature that we need to be keeping an eye on is this right here. This is a stationary boundary. It is a warm front, cold front combination in what's called an undulating front, and what that means is that it's going to be kind of fingering out towards the mid-Atlantic region along the Chesapeake area, and then it's going to kind of stall there, and then it may drift down to the south overnight tonight and even into tomorrow to drift back to the north during the daytime as a cold front. But either way, it's going to be rippling in a wave-like fashion for the next few days, and that can be very problematic for winds. As we see high pressure keeping it kind of bottled up to the north here, we have a very light northeast to east-northeast flow above it. We have a southerly flow below it, and then along the boundary, variable winds with very inconsistent speeds. So that's going to be the trick for the next few days. We also have another area of low pressure coming together out to the west. We have this Gulf moisture feed around that high pressure, all kind of fueling some precipitation coming up along the boundary. So that's going to be another issue that we have to deal with, is that precipitation and moisture working its way over the southeast region or the mid-Atlantic region, which would cause lots of storms, rains, cloud cover over the area, which would further the complications and not allow the sea breezing to really build each day. So let's go ahead and take a look at the iKitesurf map for the area. And if we zoom into the real slick, let's go ahead and take a look there. We have pretty much all the models in agreement for this afternoon with a south or south-southwest flow, more of a south-southwest tilt, but the speeds do come up. They pretty much are all in agreement with at least mid-teens to low 20s for the most part. There is one model, the HER, which keeps it in the low teens, but I think we're okay with at least mid-teens. We're looking at upper teens to low 20s for today from the south-southwest. We're talking 17 to 21 knots. We may see a little bit of a stronger build this afternoon by late afternoon around 4 or 5 o'clock p.m. But as we head into, let me get the arrow back on. As we head into tomorrow, we see that variability that I was talking about, and the models are all they're really starting to disagree in directions because each one is picking up on something different. But one thing that they all do agree on is that the speeds will remain on the lower side. The Canadian model keeps it on the higher side, much like today, upper teens to low 20s, but that model doesn't do too well for this area. We can't rule it out because it is one opinion out of the many. So if they were all in agreement with a lower build, then we'd say, it looks like tomorrow's going to be a wash. But if we do have one model, we at least want to pay attention to that. So there is a possibility that we could see a decent build from the southwest tomorrow. But as we go into Monday, we find that we have more complications. We still see that variability. We do have a southerly flow that is starting to trend towards keeping that boundary up to the north. The speeds are going to be very inconsistent. You see low single digits, and then you also see mid-teens developing by 1 o'clock p.m. on Monday. So there is a little bit of a spread in between these models, but the fact remains that there is a possibility that boundary stays to the north and we get an okay build. The main thing here is going to be a dry line at the coast, and what we need is drier air over that portion of the Outer Banks to keep that southerly flow going. If we get cloud cover and rains, that's probably going to squash whatever is there, and the recovery for that will be very slow, if anything, if there's enough time left in the day for the sea breeze to sort of get reinforcement from the south with drier air. As we head into Tuesday and Wednesday, we still see some of that variability going on, but we can pick a point to the south, and we may find a different result if we go all the way down towards Ocracoke. And we'll just go to all details there and run the models. Being this point further south of the boundary could make a lot of difference, and we see that as we go into tomorrow. We see more model agreement on southerly flow, but the winds sort of backing down a little bit in the morning, but then they come up in the afternoon. So you see more model agreement for a little bit of a higher build for tomorrow. As we go into Monday, you still see a higher build and the more agreement from the south winds to the south of that boundary for Monday, with winds coming up a little bit higher. So that may be something to consider if if this front's going to hang over right over Outer Banks, or maybe you could head down to southeast North Carolina to catch some of that wind. And that's going to be the trick. So as we go right into the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, it looks like things don't really start to clear out until maybe Wednesday when a cold front comes to the area. In fact, here's the NOAA map, forecast surface map. And we see here's the stationary boundary over North Carolina at this point. This is for tomorrow morning. And then as we get into tomorrow night, we see the boundary start to push more energy towards over the coastline as far as rains and possible thunderstorms. As we get into Monday, we see a cold front approaching the region. It comes into the region Tuesday morning and stalls. So that is even more of a problem as we get into Wednesday. That's May the 31st. And then hopefully by Wednesday or Thursday, this boundary, this is a little far out, so things can become very erroneous. But high pressure to the north could bring down a northerly flow behind this thing, or maybe it'll clear out and we get a southerly flow back through the area. So it's hard to really say when we get to Tuesday and Wednesday exactly what's going to happen, but the guidance that it says right now is that the front is going to stall as it heads towards the North Carolina coast. So that's going to do it for this edition of the wind and weather forecast. If anything breaks, I will let you know. I think we may have to take this day to day with this sort of undulating front through the area. That's a tricky situation, but I think that we do have a chance, a good outlook for today. We do have a slight chance tomorrow, maybe a slight chance on Monday. Tuesday looks like it could be a wash with the cold front heading towards the region and the prefrontal rains and thunderstorms that come with it. And then Wednesday's a little far out. Very, very hard to tell at this point when you start getting 4 and 5 days out. But we'll take it day to day. Like I said, if anything breaks, I'll let you know. And that's going to do it for this edition of the wind and weather forecast for the Collegiate Kiteboarding Association. I'll do an update over the next couple of days, let you know what's going on. Thanks for watching. Take care.